Hello, Richard. I'd be
Super.
remiss not to wish you a happy birthday.
Oh,
That's first. So happy birthday. I'm sure you've heard that today.
thank you.
Second of all, this is the last weekend without Steeler football until, well, at least the new year. So it's something. Um, I don't. I keep going back and forth. I think I've just settled on excited. I was worried. I was kind of worried for the fan base and their feeling that maybe everybody's too high. Now I'm just excited to see this play out. I really am. I'm just excited, especially the first 5 weeks before the bye. I'm just excited to see it play out. I I just want to see where they are after 5 weeks and then recalibrate and recalculate. But I've settled on excited. Where are you for an adjective right now with the last free week before Steeler football?
I would probably ask to share that. I think that I am excited. I'm so excited because in anything that you do, whether it's business or sports,
Hmm.
sometimes when you push and you turn the screws up too tight, doesn't really come together. And sometimes when you take the pressure off a little bit, back those screws up instead of making them tighter, things sometimes go better. And to me, I feel Mike Tomlin, but I feel a looser Mike Tomlin. I feel a more confident Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin knows what he's got. I think that he knows what he's got. I think that it now will allow him to be who he is, which is a great leader. And I don't care who says it. I would take Mike Tomlin over, 32 other coaches, 31. But I think it will allow Mike to be Mike. Um, I think all of the positions. I mean, you have the people, and so excited. I think everybody's a little leery because of the big turn, because of where it ended. But remember, 7-2, the last games of the season
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
wasn't so terrible. But the one thing, my biggest question mark, as you know, was Matt Canada. And hey, what I see in Matt Canada, I mean, he's not going to change who he is. He's also trusting what he has. And to do that, it makes him do a better job. He doesn't have to be conservative. He doesn't have to throw 2 yard outs. And he doesn't have to do that. And so I think that makes him better.
Yeah, this preseason, as it's gone along, I've shifted from apprehensive to excited because of what I've seen in the preseason. And I think that's a fair statement, at least in my outlook to this season.
I think it's a fair statement. I think that I mean, it would be a lot of things would have to go bad for me to feel that I'm not excited any longer. I think that what the Steelers have shown us, don't count them out no matter what. I don't care if they lose the first 2 games, don't count them out. And that's like anything. Um, you remember when Ken Wisenhunt was here and we had to win out, and I think it was 6 games left.
Right.
We had to win out. It didn't look possible at the time, but we did it. So, I mean, that's part of the Steelers' mentality. It's always been, and it's the culture. I don't make in two. I don't put too much on one game or 2 games. As a matter of fact, I used a betting app. Never done it before, and I bet the Steelers to get to the Super Bowl.
Wow. AFC champion. Now, I want to shift something because this is something I think is a great topic, and it's kind of twofold. When Omar first got the job and they were kind of getting down to the finalists, I think, and now I don't think enough people do this in sports talk or in talk or what people do for my living. They don't revisit things when they're wrong. And I think that you're much better for it if you do, if you just go back and say, I was wrong about something. I think I had Omar miscast as somebody who was just, or at least in big part, taking care of the money side, was going to hire football people around him, and not necessarily that, I don't want to say in tune, but not the guy there. I've asked a bunch of questions around the organization and talked to people. I've talked to Omar, but people not named Omar in the organization. And it's become very clear to me how intimately involved he is in securing talent, scouting talent, and being a football guy too. And what I'm getting at is this. I think he trusts other people, but he's trusted himself in his own eyes. And that's why we've seen this rash of moves. I was wrong. Omar shook up this roster, went out and made all these moves, but he's not just saying, hey, football guys, do that for me. He's a much bigger on the field football man than I ever anticipated. And he's taking big risks, and they could turn out to go to the Super Bowl. They could turn out to fall flat, but we've never seen this with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I give him a ton of credit, Richard.
I mean, there's not a lot I can say. I'm not surprised. I've known Omar for 20 years. Okay. I've wanted Omar to have this role. Omar's wanted this role. I know who he is. There was never in my mind a doubt that Omar's going to manage the salary cap. That was something he was good at.
Right.
And it was in his skill set. But that wasn't who he was going to be as a general manager. I knew that. And I would hear the pundits talk about that. And I knew better because I know Omar Khan the man. And Omar Khan the man would never, ever allow that to happen. If he's the general manager, he's the general manager. And he owns it. He's been waiting his turn, just biding his time. He learned a lot from Kevin. He learned a lot from everybody's time in Detroit even. He learned a lot from everybody. But he is Omar. Nobody's like him. The moves, I think, are the difference in the team this year. I don't think this team would have been put together like this. They're aggressive moves, and they're
very much. They're like baseball moves.
Yeah, they are. They are. And explain to people what that means to you.
Well, that means, first of all, you got in the offseason and free agency, and you get who you want, you target who you want, and you bring them in. On top of it, too, and it's a capped league, so some of the parallels don't fit, but they saw that Holcomb and they saw that Landon Roberts, who are the middle linebackers in the middle, one has a penchant for injury. The other one, is he coming along the way that he should? Maybe, but they had some cap space and they had room to fill. They go out and they get Quan Alexander like 4 days into camp. They just signed today another cornerback. They went and they found trade partners. They didn't hold off and release and got nothing for both Green and Dotson. They found trade partners and got equity, even if it's 6th round picks. And that to me is like, you could have very easily just cut the guys and been done with it and got zero and zilch for it. He found and manipulated a way in which to get value back.
Yeah, he's building an arsenal.
It's incredible.
Because if you have so many draft picks, I mean, my God, that's your farm. That's where you're farming all of your talent. And that's what Omar does, and that's what he's doing now. I love the fact that Green's gone and we went to LA, and what did we get? A 5th round pick back?
Right.
5th round pick. I mean, Tom Brady was what? 6th round pick?
Antonio Brown was a 6th round pick.
Yeah, so he was a 6th. So there's talent in those draft picks. So yeah, I mean, Omar is the guy. I'm really excited for him. I'm excited for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm excited really for Mike Tomlin because I cannot stand to hear the Mike Tomlin criticisms. Can't stand it. And I know people will say, well, no playoff wins, no Super Bowls, no this, no that. Okay. I mean, part of our best thing may be part of our worst thing. We kept, Ben was great for so many years. And I think we in all deference, we tried to keep that still going, maybe longer than we could have or should have. And I'll go back to what I think was a bad draft pick, and that was Mason Rudolph. So if we had drafted the right quarterback, I don't think we would have had Ben the last 2 years. We didn't have anybody ready to go. So that's how, to me, draft picks can also go bad. But Mason Rudolph's a solid backup. I get it. But I think that if he was just that next level, I think that we could have eased out of Ben a little quicker and into the next quarterback a little quicker.
I would agree with that. It didn't feel like there was a succession plan in the works. It didn't feel as if the kind of next guy up was decided upon and they kind of flew by the seat of their pants. The one thing in the marriage of Omar and Mike Tomlin, I think it's going to work. But the one thing where I am right now, and this overrides everything going into the season, The front office, Omar and Weidel and all of those men, especially Omar, they have delivered the ingredients now. At no point in time have there been better ingredients since the Super Bowl years that have been delivered to Mike Tomlin. Now it's time to win playoff games. There are no more excuses about talent. There's no more excuses about holes in the roster. This is as whole of a roster as there been in 6 or 7 years. This is a very complete roster.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, to me, it's that old Chuck Noll, one game at a time, and I think that time will tell. Time exposes everything and everyone, and I get that. I'm not so willing to judge Mike Tomlin's career on this season, but I think he's got a great opportunity. Listen, I think part of that old culture was we had the 3 Bs. We had Ben, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell, right? So we had talent then. But you know what we didn't have? We didn't have that team. Le'Veon Bell was a guy that says he smoked pot before the games, that would go sit by himself at the practice field and go sit and be on his iPad when the rest of the team, he wasn't a team guy. Antonio Brown clearly wasn't a team guy. So we had the talent, but we put up with that. I don't know that's part of the Steelers culture, right? Make somebody better. I don't know. And today, from what I see, it looks like everybody is coordinated. Everybody's integrated. They're coming together as a team. And that's the difference.
I would agree. That's a really good point. And I don't think it's brought up enough. This feels like much more like the early Ben Steelers than the late Ben Steelers.
Yes.
This feels like Ferrier and Foote and Harrison and Bettis and those guys from a locker room and a team standpoint than it does the end of Ben's tenure and kind of drove Troy out, where he said, I came in and the locker room was full of men. Now it's full of boys. This feels like a throwback to early Ben, like rookie Ben.
We tried to force people to be locker room leaders, and you can't force that. And I think we've been saying we need a leader in the locker room. You can't force that. I mean, who is it now? I mean, it wasn't Hines Ward tried to be it.
I think it's Cam Hayward probably.
And I don't think that is. I think it's
right. He just likes to go play football and be better than the other guys.
I think it's Kenny Pickett. I think it's second year Kenny Pickett, and I think why? I don't think he's gone in saying I want to be the leader. I don't think he's gone in to. People watch his work ethic.
You want to know something? That's a great point. In 2 years' time, if this all plays out how it's supposed to, on the offensive side, it's going to be Kenny Pickett. On the defensive side, it's going to be Joey Porter Jr.
100%. 100%. And these guys are guys that earn it. They didn't say, they're not self-anointed. Hey, I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to step up. That was Hines Ward. Hines did that. He said, Jerome left. Now I'm going to be the guy. You can't proclaim that. You just have to be that. And so, and I do think, like I said, do you know anybody on that Steelers team? Can you tell me anybody that works harder? They may all work as equally as hard, but do you know anybody that outworks Kenny Pickett?
No, there isn't. And we're seeing it now.
Do you know what I saw? I saw, not to interrupt you, and I apologize.
No, go ahead.
I say not to interrupt you after I just interrupted you.
No,
but I'll tell you something. I know, I'm a little out there, a little eccentric, but what I saw over the weekend was a series of Kenny Pickett commercials with his wife.
Furniture commercial.
Yes. That is the most humbled couple. That is, there's Kenny in his shorts and just being a normal guy. He's a Pittsburgh Steelers guy. And I love that commercial. I love how they interact with each other. I love what it says about both of them. And that's leadership, right? He's not out he's not buying the fanciest car. He's not, he's not going out and spending, $500,000 on a Lamborghini. He's a family guy. That's the essence of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Man, I agree with you. He kind of feels like it's your next door neighbor who just so happens to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
100%.
And I'm with you on that. He feels like he's just the everyday man. Like, it kind of feels like there's a little bit of Bradshaw in the guy, more so than Ben at times.
I don't see either. I don't see.
Yeah,
either.
Tell me what you see. You just see
I see
it's
Kenny
different
Pickett.
than
I think he's
yeah.
Kenny Pickett. I think he's a hell of a competitor. He's a hell of a hard worker. And I don't know that this is true, and I'm not a seer of the future, but I can remember reading, and it was read, that Peyton Manning and Kenny Pickett had a relationship.
They did,
And
yes, and Eli Manning from the Manning camp, yes.
from the Manning camp. And I remember reading, if this is accurate also, that Peyton Manning recommended to Kenny not to come out in the draft until the next year, that he would go from being a 15th round pick to a top 5, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I look at that now and I compare, wait a minute, what's Kenny Pickett have in common? Nobody ever outworked Peyton Manning, did he? They
No.
never. And so I look at that and I think Kenny Pickett really followed a role model. He followed the path of Peyton Manning. And I look at Kenny Pickett more like a Kenny Pickett / Peyton Manning work ethic guy. Because if somebody puts that kind of time in, somebody works that much at his craft, man, and you have the talent to do that, I don't see how you ever fail.
Do you believe in the translatable skills from the locker room and the team being close and all that to success on the field? Because I go hot and cold about that, but
100%.
I then think about those old Steelers, those guys that I mentioned, and how close they were and how they seemingly literally die for each other. And it was translatable on the field.
It is translatable, 100%. A team is a team. A team always has your back. It is what it is, and that is. I think that there is no question about that question. Yeah, no, I do. I love it, and that's what I see happening. I see this team coming together like that, which is one of the reasons that I'm not going to be surprised if they do end up being in the Super Bowl. I'm not surprised by that because and Mike, you can put Mike Tomlin in there. He's integrated with everybody that way too, and he is a player's guy, and he is a great coach, and he is a great orator, and he is a great leader. And Mike, you owe me, buddy. But it's okay. Only 3.2 people see this. It's fine.
No, that's fine.
But I do think that's what a team does, and the teams that have discord, the teams that are fighting, they're not and critical of each other. They're not going anywhere. Where are they going? And if they do, they're one and done. There's no longevity there. The teams that last, they play together, they stay together.
Interesting. I do sense it though, and I've started to really buy in, and I'm a hard sell, man. I really am. But I see the togetherness in the locker room. I understand how close these guys are, and I see them rallying. There's no apprehension with the quarterback. They're rallying around a leader. Like he's the undeniable leader.
Yeah, speaking of that, let me come back. I'm going to rewind the tape a little bit. We look at the results, obviously, because that's all we care about. We're result oriented. Did you win a Super Bowl? Did you win a playoff game? Blah, 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 blah. But sometimes injuries, and they happen to everybody, but sometimes injuries. Who do we have? Some what he was named Doc, who was trying to take us into the playoffs. I mean, come on. We that is that a Mike Tomlin problem? It's not.
No,
it's not. But were we in the playoffs? Did we try to win a playoff game with old Duck?
Yeah, Duck beat the Browns here in a gigantic regular season game.
Yeah.
And pushed the Steelers where they wanted to.
But he was still a Duck.
He was. Have you caught?
Looks like a duck. He's a duck.
Have you caught Duck's recent act in what he's got going on?
No, but I don't.
You have not?
No, but I don't blame Mike Tomlin for not winning a game with Duck.
No, Duck is more famous now than he was as a football player.
No, Duck's. How come I never heard of him?
How did you not know this? Duck's girlfriend is this country singer superstar, Lainey Wilson.
Oh, I know Lainey Wilson.
That's Duck's girlfriend.
Oh, see, Duck. Come on, Duck. Well, I don't know about that.
Well,
I don't know her, but I think she's the one that sings on Yellowstone.
Maybe she wears a hat like yours. She's got boots. She sings some songs about something about it.
She might like roast duck.
She likes duck, and I know she She sings a song about a watermelon. She sings a song about a truck. She's all over the place.
Saying something about a duck?
Right. Duck is her beau. That is her man. And they've been together. And that's her guy. He travels around the country to her concerts and stuff.
That doesn't make him a quarterback.
He got the most out of being an NFL quarterback. He's got the famous wife. And come on.
Oh,
good on him.
You need to take a nap.
It beats what's her name? What was Bradshaw? JoJo? What was her name? That
Starbucks. Starbucks. They named the drink after her now.
They didn't. It's no correlation. All right.
Starbucks. Is that her name?
I think JoJo Starbuck, right? Was that Bradshaw's young lady?
I believe so.
Didn't work out. Hopefully it works.
Probably 82.
Yes. Hopefully it works out better for Duck and Lainey Wilson. This is the last week before football. We have to make predictions next week. Next week there's a game, Steelers and Niners.
Yeah.
Let's go. I can't.
Oh, by the way, one more thing. I love Trey Lance in Dallas. Love him. You know why? You know what it says to me?
What?
It tells me that Jerry Jones knows that he doesn't have a quarterback.
It does. Also, Trey Lance is an interesting sort because he's played like 5 games of football in the past 6 years or something. He never plays.
That's okay. It's okay. He understands. He will be fabulous there. Dak is not. I just couldn't believe they were keeping Dak. I couldn't believe it. And so Dak is very overrated to me. And I think Trey Lance in Dallas is going to be their guy. That's the guy, which is interesting. Aren't they in the same league, same division?
It's going to be very interesting.
Division?
Dallas, NFC, yeah, Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, so it was interesting that they traded him there, but I like it. I love him there. And like I said, more than anything, I like the fact that it says to me that they realize Dak isn't their guy.
Trey Lance. All right, next week predictions. Get ready.
I predict this. I predict that next Sunday, the Steelers will play the 49ers.
I predict that too. I need Steelers 49ers prediction and a season win total and a Super Bowl champion next week. How about
12-5, buddy. 12-5.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. It's a tease.
I've been saying it forever. It's not a tease. 12-5.
All right. Next week it is.
Okay.
Goodbye.